Welcome back to our channel. Today's video is packed with practical tips that will sharpen your memory and strengthen your mind. Have you ever stared at a page for 10 minutes only to realize you remember nothing? Have you ever met someone, learned their name, and forgot it just seconds later? Or maybe you've spent hours studying, yet the moment you need the information, your mind goes blank. If this feels familiar, you're not alone. In fact, the truth is shocking. Most people don't have a memory problem. They have a mind training problem. Your brain is not weak. It is powerful, limitless, and capable of remembering far more than you think. The only reason it forgets is because no one ever taught you how to use it the right way. Imagine unlocking a version of yourself that remembers facts instantly, learns faster, and keeps information forever. Imagine having a mind so sharp that people wonder how you do it. That version of you is real, and it starts with understanding one life-changing fact. Memory is a muscle. And just like any muscle, it gets stronger every time you train it. Successful students, top performers, and memory champions are not born different. They built their memory through simple habits, powerful techniques, and unwavering consistency. This video will show you exactly how to do the same. Not with complicated tricks, but with practical steps you can start using today. If you're ready to stop forgetting and start remembering everything with confidence, focus, and power, then stay with me. Your new mind begins now. Tip 1. Train your attention first. Before you can remember anything, you must understand one simple truth. Memory begins with attention. Most people think they have a weak memory, but what they really have is a wandering mind. You cannot store what you never truly noticed. Think about the last time you tried to study or read something important. Your eyes moved across the words, but your mind drifted somewhere else. Your phone, your worries, your daydreams. Later, when the information vanished, you blamed your bad memory, when in reality, your brain never captured it in the first place. Strong recall is not about forcing your brain to remember. It's about training your mind to be present in the moment. Attention is the doorway to memory. If the doorway is half open, only half the information enters. If the doorway is closed, nothing enters. But when the doorway is fully open, when your focus is sharp, your mind absorbs information like a sponge. This is why successful learners create an environment that protects their attention. They turn off distractions, silence notifications, and give their full presence to what matters. They practice mindfulness, deep work, and single tasking because they know a distracted mind can never build a powerful memory. Start by giving every task your full attention for just 5 minutes. No switching, no scrolling, no drifting. Train your brain to stay with the information long enough for it to sink deeply. The more you practice this focused awareness, the faster your memory grows. Your brain is not broken. It simply needs direction. When you learn to control your focus, you unlock a memory far stronger than you ever thought possible. Train attention, and memory will follow. Tip 2. Turn information into stories. If you want to remember everything more easily, stop trying to memorize information the hard way. The human brain was never designed to store endless dry facts. It was designed to store stories. For thousands of years, people passed down knowledge through storytelling because the mind naturally locks onto emotion, imagery, and narrative flow. Think about it. You may forget what you learned yesterday, but you can remember a childhood story you heard once. You may forget numbers, but you remember movie plots, jokes, and dramatic moments. Why? Because stories give meaning, movement, and emotion to information. When you turn information into a story, you transform something the brain resists into something it loves. For example, if you need to remember a list of items, imagine them as characters in a mini-adventure. If you're studying history, visualize the events like scenes from a movie. If you need to remember concepts, create a simple story where one idea leads to another. The more unusual, funny, or emotional the story, the stronger the memory becomes. Your brain pays attention to anything that feels alive. This method works because storytelling activates multiple parts of your brain: visual, emotional, auditory, and logical, creating stronger memory connections. It's like upgrading from a single thin thread to a powerful rope your mind can't easily break. Story-based memory is what top performers use to remember speeches, lessons, languages, and complex information. You don't need to be a writer. You just need to be playful, imaginative, and willing to translate facts into scenes. When you make stories, memory stops feeling like a burden and becomes natural, automatic, and even enjoyable. The moment you turn information into a story, you turn your mind into a memory machine. Tip 3. Use visual linking. Your brain remembers pictures far faster than words. You can forget a sentence in seconds, but a powerful image can stay in your mind for a lifetime. This is why visual linking is one of the fastest and strongest memory-building techniques ever created. Visual linking means connecting information with vivid mental images. Pictures so clear, unusual, or emotional that your brain cannot ignore them. When you learn to turn information into visuals, remembering becomes almost effortless. Think about how easily you recall your childhood home, your school, or the face of a friend you haven't seen in years. You didn't memorize these things. You experienced them visually. Now imagine using that same natural power to remember lists, concepts, facts, names, lessons, or anything you want. That's what visual linking does. You take information and attach it to a creative mental picture, then link that picture with the next one. The stranger or more exaggerated the image, the better your brain holds on to it. For example, if you need to remember book, apple, car, don't try to store the words. Instead, imagine a giant book opening, a glowing apple jumping out, and a car racing after it. It sounds silly, but that is exactly why it works. The brain loves unusual, dramatic visuals because they stand out from everyday life. Memory champions use this method to remember hundreds of items in order because the brain follows images like stepping stones. Visual linking turns your mind into a movie screen. The more vivid the movie, the stronger the memory. You don't need artistic talent, just imagination. When you practice creating bold, colorful images and linking them together, you will notice something incredible. Your ability to remember becomes faster, sharper, and far more reliable than ever before. Tip 4. Use spaced repetition. Daily. If there is one method that can turn short-term memory into long-term mastery, it is spaced repetition. Most people forget information not because they are incapable, but because they try to remember everything in one sitting. Cramming overloads your brain and makes memory fade quickly. But spaced repetition does the opposite. It strengthens your memory every time you return to the information. Your mind learns best when it revisits material at increasing intervals. After 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. Each time you review, the memory becomes sharper, faster, and more permanent. Imagine your memory as a path through a forest. The first time you walk it, the trail is faint. If you don't return soon, the path disappears. But if you revisit it again and again, spacing out each visit, the path becomes clear, solid, and easy to follow. That is exactly what spaced repetition does. It keeps your brain returning to the same information just before it fades, making your recall stronger than ever. This method is used by top students, language learners, doctors, pilots, and memory champions because it turns forgetting into remembering. Instead of studying for hours, you study for minutes, consistently, repeatedly, and strategically. Your brain loves this pattern because it matches how memories naturally form. Repetition over time. Start simple. Review what you learned today once before sleeping. Review it again tomorrow. Then, 2 days later. Then, at the end of the week. Watch how effortlessly the information sticks. Spaced repetition is not hard. It's habit. And once you practice it daily, you'll realize something powerful. You were never bad at remembering. You just needed the right system. Tip 5. Practice active recall, not passive reading. Most people make a huge mistake when trying to remember something. They read the same information again and again, hoping it will magically stick. But the brain doesn't grow by rereading. It grows by retrieving. This is the power of active recall, one of the most scientifically proven methods to strengthen memory. When you force your brain to pull information out, you strengthen the neural pathways that store it. It's like lifting weights for your mind. The more you recall, the stronger your memory becomes. Think of passive reading as watching someone else exercise and expecting yourself to get fit. It doesn't work. You must engage your brain, not just feed it information. Instead of reading a page 10 times, close the book and try to remember what you just learned. Instead of watching a video passively, pause every few minutes and summarize it in your own words. Instead of rereading notes endlessly, test yourself, even if you feel unsure. That struggle to recall is exactly what builds memory. Active recall transforms the way you learn. It turns you from a passive consumer into an active thinker. And the moment your brain starts working, truly working, your memory sharpens at a level you've never experienced before. Use flashcards, quizzes, short summaries, or simply close your eyes and try to retrieve information. It doesn't matter which method you use. The key is to challenge your mind. At first, active recall may feel difficult, but that difficulty is a sign that the process is working. Every time you pull information from your brain, you make it easier to access later. This is how you move from forgetting fast to remembering effortlessly. Don't just read, recall. That is how you unlock a powerful, unstoppable memory. Tip 6. Use the 80-20 memory rule. One of the most powerful ways to remember more in less time is to understand the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. It states that 20% of your effort produces 80% of your results. In memory training, this means one thing. You don't need to remember everything. You just need to remember the right things. Most people overwhelm their brains with unnecessary details, forgetting what truly matters. But high performers focus on the essential core, the information that has real impact. Imagine studying a long chapter. Instead of trying to force every line into your mind, identify the 20% of ideas that hold the real value. These become your anchors. Once you lock them in, the remaining 80% of information becomes easier to understand and remember because your brain already has a strong foundation. This is smart learning, not heavy learning. The 80-20 rule frees your memory from overload. It teaches you to prioritize, simplify, and focus on what truly moves the needle. When you know what's important, your brain naturally pays more attention, making recall stronger and faster. This is how top students score high without studying all night. This is how speakers remember long presentations without memorizing every word. They focus on the core ideas, and the rest flows naturally. To apply this rule, ask yourself a simple question. What is the key message? What are the top 3 ideas that matter most? Once you identify them, review those points repeatedly. Let your brain master the essentials first. When you focus on the powerful 20%, your memory becomes clearer, sharper, and far more efficient. Remember, smart memory beats big memory every single time. Tip 7. Write to remember. In a world filled with screens, typing, and digital shortcuts, we often forget one of the most powerful memory tools ever created: writing by hand. When you write something down, your brain processes the information more deeply. It slows you down just enough to think, connect, and understand. This is why writing is not just a study habit. It is a memory enhancer. The act of writing forces your mind to translate information into your own words, and that process strengthens memory pathways far more effectively than simply reading or typing. Think back to school days. You probably remember certain lessons not because you studied them intensely, but because you wrote them repeatedly. Writing activates multiple senses: your hands, your eyes, your thoughts, all working together to store information more securely. It transforms memory from passive intake to active creation. When your brain participates, it remembers. Writing doesn't have to be complicated. Take brief notes after learning something. Summarize what you read in 3 sentences. Create mind maps. Even doodles help because they engage your visual memory. And here's a secret used by top learners: teach someone else, or pretend to teach. When you explain information in writing as if you are teaching it, your understanding and recall skyrocket. Teaching is the ultimate test of memory. You don't need perfect handwriting. You don't need long pages of notes. What matters is the act of transferring information from your mind to paper. That movement creates clarity, focus, and long-lasting memory. Every time you write, you tell your brain, "This matters. Keep it." In a world full of distractions, writing brings your mind back to the present and locks information into place. If you want a stronger memory, pick up a pen. Your brain will thank you. Tip 8. Remove memory killers. If you want to remember everything, the first step isn't always learning more. It's stopping what is actively destroying your memory. Many people unknowingly sabotage their minds every day with habits that weaken focus, retention, and recall. Sleep deprivation, constant multitasking, stress, poor nutrition, and digital distractions are some of the biggest memory killers. No matter how many techniques you learn, if these factors are present, your brain will struggle to remember anything. Sleep is not optional. It is the foundation of memory. During deep sleep, the brain consolidates everything you learned during the day, transferring information from short-term memory to long-term memory. Without sufficient rest, even the most brilliant learning fades like sand through fingers. Multitasking is another silent killer. Switching constantly between tasks overwhelms the brain and prevents it from properly encoding information. Stress floods your mind with cortisol, reducing the brain's ability to form and recall memories. Poor nutrition and dehydration literally starve your neurons of the fuel they need to function. The good news? These killers can be stopped. And when you do, your memory will improve dramatically. Start with small intentional changes. Prioritize sleep, focus on one task at a time, take short breaks, reduce screen distractions, and nourish your body with brain-healthy food. Even 5 minutes of mindfulness or deep breathing can lower stress and improve recall. These habits may seem small, but they create the environment your brain needs to absorb, store, and retrieve information efficiently. Memory is not just about techniques. It's about protecting your mind. Remove what weakens it, and the strategies you use will suddenly work far better. Your memory is a garden. Stop poisoning it, and watch it grow stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. Tip 9. Strengthen your brain with daily habits. Your brain is not a machine. It's a living organ that thrives on care, exercise, and nourishment. If you want to remember everything, you must treat your brain like a high-performance engine. Daily habits like sleep, nutrition, exercise, and hydration are not optional. They are essential for memory. A tired, dehydrated, or undernourished brain struggles to form new connections, but a well-cared-for brain absorbs, stores, and recalls information with remarkable speed and accuracy. Sleep is the foundation. During deep sleep, your brain consolidates memories, strengthens neural pathways, and clears out mental clutter. Without sufficient sleep, even your best learning efforts are wasted. Exercise is another supercharger for memory. Physical activity increases blood flow, oxygen, and nutrients to the brain, enhancing focus and creating new neurons. Nutrition also plays a huge role. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and vitamins strengthen neural connections, improving memory and mental clarity. Hydration is equally important. Just mild dehydration can reduce cognitive performance, leaving your mind foggy and forgetful. Beyond these basics, mental habits matter too. Meditation, journaling, or mindful breathing improves focus and reduces stress, which in turn enhances memory. Even taking short breaks while learning gives your brain time to process and encode information effectively. Think of these habits as routine maintenance for a high-performance engine. The better you care for it, the stronger, sharper, and faster it runs. The key message is simple. No memory technique will reach its full potential if your brain isn't healthy. Feed it, move it, rest it, and protect it. Your memory is not just a skill, it is the product of daily choices. Build strong habits, and your brain will become an unstoppable force of recall, clarity, and intelligence. Tip 10. Memory palaces, the location method. One of the most powerful memory techniques ever invented is the memory palace, also called the location method. This is not a trick. It's a proven system used by memory champions, scholars, and top performers worldwide. The idea is simple. Our brains naturally remember places better than abstract information. By linking what you want to remember to a familiar location in your mind, you create a vivid pathway that your brain can easily follow. Suddenly, facts, lists, or concepts are no longer floating randomly, they are anchored to a mental map. Here's how it works. First, choose a place you know well, like your home, school, or favorite park. Visualize walking through it, noticing specific rooms, corners, or objects. Next, place the information you want to remember along this path. For example, if you need to memorize a shopping list, imagine a giant loaf of bread on your front doorstep, a glowing apple on the living room couch, and a sparkling car in the kitchen. The more unusual, colorful, and exaggerated the images, the stronger your memory becomes. Your brain naturally follows the path, recalling each piece of information in order. The beauty of the memory palace is that it combines visualization, storytelling, and spatial memory, the three strongest memory tools humans have. It is especially effective for long lists, speeches, numbers, or sequences. Memory champions often memorize hundreds of items this way with incredible speed and accuracy. And the best part? Anyone can do it with practice. Start small, with 5 or 10 items, and expand as you become comfortable. When you use a memory palace, remembering stops being a struggle. Your brain no longer guesses. It navigates. You don't just recall information. You experience it. Build your palace, fill it with your knowledge, and watch your memory become sharper, faster, and unstoppable. Tip 11. Repeat information in new ways. If you truly want to remember everything, repetition alone is not enough. You must repeat information in different ways. The brain doesn't store facts in isolation. It creates networks of connections. The more ways you engage with information, seeing it, saying it, writing it, imagining it, the stronger and more flexible those connections become. This is why people remember things better when they experience them in multiple formats. Reading a fact once is weak. Writing it, speaking it aloud, visualizing it, or teaching it multiplies the memory's strength exponentially. Imagine trying to learn a new language. Simply reading vocabulary might help for a day. But if you also listen to it, speak it, write it, and connect words to images, your brain forms multiple pathways. Each pathway reinforces the others, making recall faster, easier, and more permanent. The same principle applies to any subject: history, science, numbers, or personal goals. Every different interaction strengthens the memory and makes it more resistant to forgetting. This technique also makes learning engaging and fun. Your mind thrives on novelty. By presenting the same information in fresh ways, you keep your brain alert and focused, avoiding the trap of passive learning. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Summarize a lesson in your own words, create flashcards, draw a diagram, or explain the concept to a friend. Every new approach gives your brain another anchor, another thread connecting you to the knowledge. The truth is clear. Your brain is not weak. It is underused. When you repeat information in multiple ways, you turn fleeting moments of attention into lasting mastery. Knowledge becomes accessible, automatic, and effortless. Stop sticking to one method. Mix it up. Engage your mind from every angle. The more ways you interact with information, the more unstoppable your memory becomes. Tip 12. Believe in your mind's limitless ability. The most powerful memory technique is not a system, a tool, or a strategy. It is belief. Your mind has an incredible capacity to learn, store, and recall information, but most people never unlock it because they doubt themselves. They say, "I have a bad memory," or "I'm not smart enough," and as soon as that thought enters, their brain begins to perform exactly as they expect, forgetful and limited. Belief is the foundation on which all memory techniques work. Without it, even the best methods fall flat. With it, Even simple steps can produce extraordinary results. Believing in your memory means understanding that the brain is not fixed. It grows, strengthens, and adapts with effort, practice, and consistency. Every technique you've learned, visual linking, memory palaces, active recall, spaced repetition, becomes far more effective when paired with confidence. When you tell yourself, "I can remember this," your brain mobilizes attention, focus, and energy to make it happen. Doubt, on the other hand, weakens neural pathways and makes recall harder. Memory is as much mental as it is practical. Top performers, language experts, and memory champions all share this secret. They believe they can do it before they even try. They approach learning with confidence, persistence, and curiosity. And when mistakes happen, they don't give up. They adjust, repeat, and keep going. Belief fuels the brain's potential. It turns ordinary practice into extraordinary results. Start today by affirming your mind's ability. Tell yourself, "I can remember, I can learn, I can master this." Combine that belief with daily habits, focus, and techniques, and your memory will grow beyond anything you imagined. When you believe in the limitless power of your mind, remembering everything stops being a dream. It becomes your reality. Remembering everything is not about being born with a perfect memory. It is about training your mind, protecting it, and believing in its limitless potential. Every tip we've covered, from focusing your attention, turning information into stories, using visual linking, spaced repetition, active recall, the 80-20 rule, writing, removing memory killers, building healthy habits, memory palaces, repeating information in new ways, to believing in yourself, works because they align with the natural way your brain learns. Memory is not a gift reserved for a few. It is a skill that anyone can develop with consistent effort, focus, and the right strategies. The most important lesson is this: your memory grows as you grow. Every day you practice, every habit you implement, every technique you apply, you are building a stronger, sharper, more reliable mind. Stop blaming forgetfulness, distractions, or lack of intelligence. Take control of your attention. Feed your brain with knowledge, protect it with good habits, and never stop believing in its potential. Start small, be consistent, and combine these tips with confidence. Over time, you will notice something remarkable. Information that once slipped away now stays. Clarity replaces confusion, and your ability to recall, learn, and apply knowledge becomes effortless. Your mind is a limitless resource, and it is ready to serve you at its highest capacity. Commit to training it, and you will unlock the true power of your memory. The moment you start believing, the moment you act, your brain transforms, and remembering everything becomes your reality.